kind of get to this interesting sort of roadblock, right? Where there's only really 3 potential solutions, right? And 2 of them are pretty ridiculous, right? The first solution is make everyone more rich, and then everyone can buy, fancy phones and fancy gaming PCs, right? What's the likelihood that that's going to, actually surface? Probably low likelihood. As much as, we would love that to happen, probably low likelihood. Second option is we have some sort of like quantum leap in chipset technology. All of a sudden, companies like NVIDIA and Intel can produce super powerful chips for super cheap, and everyone, regardless of how expensive their phones or devices are, has the ability to play high-end content because super cheap compute is effectively available for everyone. Also, probably very unlikely, right? The third option, and in my opinion, the only realistic option is, well, we take away the requirement for each individual to own the hardware necessary to provide that compute, right? We do what we've done with storage. I think everyone that has a phone, everyone that has a PC, right, understands what cloud storage is, right? It's ubiquitous now. Everyone, my grandma knows what cloud storage is, right? We can do the exact same with compute. Just like we can take that storage and deliver it to you from the cloud, we can deliver compute processing power in the exact same way. And by doing that, we now are able to kind of unlock all of these gamers everywhere in the world, giving them access to any content that they want, but also on the flip side, giving the biggest gaming publishers in the world access to those gamers. And that's pretty cool. You can only really do that on the back of a distributed network because the unit economics just don't work in a truly centralized manner. It's very, very expensive to scale this type of compute if you have to purchase it all yourself and deploy it into all of these different regions that you're trying to offer a service. But DPIN is a bit of a kind of a magic wand when it comes to scaling infrastructure in difficult places. And it's something that we've been able to kind of tap into. And it's, essentially allowed us to expand our network all over the world extremely quickly with, very little network overhead, which is pretty cool. And then obviously we have the AI compute as well. We have a massive collection of enterprise-grade AI infrastructure that supports, really large training runs for big frontier models, essentially training LLMs. This is the process of taking like a ChatGPT 3 to a ChatGPT 4, that kind of increasing complexity and competence of AI. That's effectively called training, right? So we have the largest collection of H100s, for example. That's NVIDIA's flagship GPU in Web3. The largest collection of that's in Aethir's network. And then we also do the kind of AI application side, what's called inferencing, which is effectively the name for AI doing its job once you've trained it, right? If ChatGPT answers a question, it's giving you an answer. That's it querying its model. It's conducting an inferencing task. Both training and inferencing require GPUs, and both are equally served on our network. So we have this really cool kind of balance of compute. It's just, I guess, coincidence and much to the kind of luck, but also very strategic planning of NVIDIA. What was originally a kind of a gaming-focused chip, the GPU, is now equally relevant for both AI and gaming. And as a result of that, we have this kind of multifunctional cloud that has the capability to provide really great value to both gaming companies, but also obviously the massive exponentially growing AI community as well.
Love it. I mean, I'm just going to underscore again how amazingly groundbreaking, right? That what Aethir can do is to really lower the barriers and friction to creation by removing or just sidestepping the need for hardware stuff that is just going to be high barrier for many small mid-sized builders, right? That is actually extremely powerful. I mean, again, even in the whole gaming industry in Web 2, we've seen a lot of consolidations, right? and even also mobile gaming just coming up and just presenting a whole different perspective that it just changed the industry too. And I think that to me is the really exciting part. I think builders everywhere, whether it's like game creators, like programmers and coders and artists and illustrationists, right, as well. I think they want to work on games that are going to be more mainstream. But it is always going to be a little bit constrained by the hardware that's required based on the company that they're looking for. I think there's always going to be always a upside or limit to a ceiling to how much they can grow, right? Just approaching a more mobile, a little bit more of a cloud distributed kind of model would just unlock so much more growth and potential. Awesome. And okay, so I'm seeing that first, stepping a little bit away from the conversation, our first round of red packets have been fully claimed apparently, but we actually have another round for new users. So stay tuned for everyone. I think we are releasing that in the chat real soon. But coming back to Aethir, I think, Mark, can you also catch us up onto what the team has been up to in 2024, right? So I'm hearing AI, I'm hearing gaming. What have you guys been doing to engage the developers and communities in these two areas?
Yeah, I think I'd like to maybe focus on the AI side here, because there's been some really interesting, I guess, recent changes in the AI sector within crypto as a whole, right? I think in Web3, we have a tendency to over-optimize for infrastructure, right? We love building infrastructure in crypto, right? Every cycle, whatever the kind of narrative is for that cycle, whatever the narrative is for that cycle, we tend to over-optimize for infrastructure, building a huge amount of it. And we're really good at building infrastructure. What we're not really all that good at is getting users in to use that infrastructure, right? So with the advent of AI and the kind of very obvious use case for crypto as it relates to AI, we've had a huge amount of infrastructure boom, AI infrastructure boom in the crypto space. Of course, Aethir being one of the kind of first projects in that space, as you know, we've benefited hugely from leading the charge there. But I've always been so interested in the retail side of, right? What incredible kind of applications and use cases and value propositions is AI going to unlock for retail once we start to kind of exit out that infrastructure phase, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing now, right? I think anyone that's on kind of crypto Twitter or kind of deeply interested in new metas and narratives in the space will see that kind of AI agents, for example, have been absolutely pumping recently over the past kind of month and a half. And that's really cool, right? Because we know about LLMs, we know about ChatGPT and Claude and these other kind of frontier models, right? And we know how good they are at answering questions, right? But agents are about execution, right? Agents are meant to be kind of the hands and feet of AI, actually out there. You know, if the LLM says, "Oh, I think it's a good idea if you send an email to your boss," the agent might be the one that actually sends that email, right? Or if the LLM says, "Hey, you should schedule a meeting with your team," the agent might be the one that actually schedules that meeting. So I guess where I'm going with this is that very recently we've had this shift towards applications, AI applications and AI agents, this kind of retail focus in AI that's really, really fascinating for us at Aethir, and something we've actively been trying to get behind. So we made some really big announcements. We have a $100 million ecosystem fund, and we actually put that fund directly into play just three and a half weeks ago with the mandate to support AI agent builders that are out there with the intention to kind of capture and deploy support to those teams as quickly as we could, right? So actually every week we've been releasing a list of AI agent and application focused projects that we're investing in, right? because we know how quickly this meta needs to move, and we know that kind of small teams need support, very, very quickly to capture attention and to thrive in this narrative-driven market. But I would say that shift to retail is probably one of the most important shifts we've seen in the crypto AI space since its kind of inception, kind of around the advent of ChatGPT. And it's something that I think you'll see a huge amount of Aethir's presence supporting. And that's very refreshing, I think, from a very infrastructure-focused sort of space to now this kind of retail-focused space. This is where the fun stuff happens. This is the exciting bit. It's where people get creative. And we're just really, really pumped to be able to support it.
That's awesome to hear. I'm going to echo this as well from a Bybit Web3 perspective. Through this whole year, we've been really seeing a lot more infra and the DeFi, DEX trading stuff. But towards the end of 2024 and 2025, right now, we are having discussions with different projects. We can feel this tangible excitement around use cases and applications as well. And I think this is really going to be what, even as a retail investor or user myself, I'm excited about. I think to your point as well, Mark, which is AI agents are going to be a little bit more functional and task-driven. I think it really is up to the projects and the people behind them around what kind of ideas, what kind of emotional and functional value do they want to deliver, right? Then you kind of deploy the agents to it. And that's really the kind of energy I get and I enjoy, right? When having conversations with founders like you. We have some questions from the chat, but I'm actually going to first ask, out of the support they've been providing for the AI agents, can you share with us maybe 3 alpha or tracks where you think AI agents are going to be really massive in 2025 that we should look out for?
Okay, so I think there's 3 narratives that I'll focus on that I'm very interested in, right? The first is obviously platforms that help people launch agents, right? I think if you take, for the majority of people, launching an agent would be quite hard to imagine, right? It'd be quite a technical challenge. Yeah. So the projects out there that are building the infrastructure, I hate to say it, but the infrastructure that lets people launch agents quickly is something that I think is going to give non-technical people, but also teams that don't maybe necessarily want to focus just on how to launch an agent, and they more want to focus on what they do once the agent's launched, right? That's a really cool space, right? I think virtuals.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was thinking like it's like a Canva or user-centric kind of app, right? That allows you to just ship and you just spend time on ideation. Yeah.
100%. So I think there's really cool projects out there. Virtuals obviously being a very famous one. Creator.bid being another. Momate.io. These are all platforms that we invested in with our very first batch of kind of our $100 million ecosystem fund that I think is a really cool play. The second is, I think if you're out there looking, right, at AI agents, and you're thinking, okay, I want to take like a personal bet on an AI agent, what would I be looking for if I was you? I would be looking for that execution layer, right? The fundamental capability of the agent to execute tasks, right? Don't maybe look for whether the agent's funny or whether its kind of Twitter feed aligns with what you find entertaining. I would try and abstract out your emotion and look at like, okay, what is the execution element attached to this agent? And I think there's some really cool execution-focused agents out there that clearly have very, very smart teams behind them. And this is something that I think is also a very, very interesting space. I think 1 or 2 or 5 of these agents is going to kind of just absolutely blow up. And it's likely to be the ones that have the most capable execution tool set under the hood. And then finally, I think that everyone's very interested in the idea of kind of AI portfolio managers or AI being able to help people manage assets or trade, right? And I think that's really interesting, but there's kind of a narrative below that as well. And that is like the whole kind of DAO, autonomous DAO narrative, right? I think we've seen AI16Z kind of blow up. And that was actually all around the launch of a DAO, right? That was going to be controlled by an AI agent. And I think this kind of, I guess, sub-narrative of launching kind of investment vehicles that can be autonomously managed by agents is something that's really cool. And Aethir's kind of supported a couple of those as they've kind of launched. AI16Z being one, Yahtzee DAO being another. But I think that there's a very interesting place for these DAOs, and I'm excited to see how switched on teams start to incorporate agents in their digital asset management in really interesting ways. I think they're probably going to get a lot of it wrong first up, but it's part of the journey.
Indeed, it will be part of the journey. And thank you so much, Mark. Those were really exciting. And there was a few of those where I was gonna give a teaser. We are gonna probably have a live stream with virtuals with Luna real soon, guys. So secret teaser over here. But I just wanted to appreciate like what you're also saying, right? Because just the idea of like when we were talking to Luna as well, it was the idea that there is always a question and answer dynamic, but what Luna is kind of bringing is like origination and initiation and leading the conversation, right? That kind of content creation, content origination, that is unheard of. And that is also what we are seeing, like this is where we kind of really want things to go. Not to mention like Luna having their own on-chain wallet and this creating jobs and all of that. I think that's really fun, even for fan engagement and tokenization as well. So I think, guys, you heard it here first from Mark, which is basically platforms that allow and really simplify the creation of AI agents, right? Also the execution skill sets that you can actually get. And last but not least, actually AI managed or DAO managed portfolio management. Really, really fun. And I think that's really, like as a retail user, I'm like, yeah, guys, time for that to really happen. This is probably really when I think retail can really understand and appreciate really what we're talking about for AI, right? I mean, barring what ChatGPT has really done to really help retail users to really appreciate and level up in terms of their understanding and usage competencies, I think this is really going to be the next level for 2025. Okay, I think we are running a little bit close to time, but that was really meaty and exciting for me and insightful. A last roundup first for Mark. Anything to shout out about to the teams to watch out for 2025 about Aethir?
I think if any of what I talked about from an agent perspective is interesting, then stay tuned to our socials. Every week we'll be announcing later investments. We'll explain a little bit about the focus on why these projects are interesting for this week, right? It's not just a list of projects, it'll be an explanation. Last week it was intersection between gaming and AI, right? Why we think agents and why we think AI is relevant for the gaming sector, right? So I think it's a great way to get a taste of the flavor of what's happening out there. And we really hope that we can kind of lead the way and pull retail along with us as we kind of really get in and explore and support all of the incredible builders out there in the AI and in the gaming space. So I think follow our socials, keep in touch with what we're doing with the Ecosystem Fund. A lot of alpha there, very, very exciting. We also have a whole bunch of really cool partnerships that we announced recently. We did a deep partnership with Layer 0. So the Aethir token is now omni-chain. Essentially, that means you can start to expect to see the ATH token in places that maybe you wouldn't expect. And there's going to be a lot of utility and exciting things that we can do with kind of that omni-chain utility. If you're interested in physically owning infrastructure yourself, always encourage you to check out Aethir Edge. These are the physical kind of edge mining devices that you can own. They sit in your home, plug into your kind of power and your Wi-Fi, and they operate as an enterprise-capable compute node in Aethir's network, earning you rewards for pretty much providing the edge compute infrastructure that AI and gaming needs to get that really low latency compute happening in the real world. So honestly, I think that we couldn't be better positioned as a company to take advantage of all of the growth that we're expecting within the AI and gaming sector over the next year. And I think people are going to be incredibly surprised and excited by the amount of growth that we expect to be able to achieve over the next 12 months. We're already sitting at around 90 million in annual recurring revenue, which for a crypto project is just totally insane. And that is just expected to continue to absolutely explode. So it's an exciting time for us, and we're just pumped by the excitement of the market. I think it's a really, really exciting time to be doing what we're doing.
As a supporter and a listener and audience as well, I can really feel it. So guys, Aethir's token, ATH, is actually available on the Bybit Spot Exchange. And I think from what Mark has shared, I guess we can expect ATH to hit more ATH real soon in 2025. So thank you again, Mark, for the sharings and insights. It's been really lovely. I'm very excited for you guys and for ourselves as well. And to the Bybit audiences as well, stay tuned for more pop-up live streams and surprise giveaways. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, MK. Pleasure.